Good evening, brothers and sisters. I'm always happy to speak here in my native town, Ottawa.
Annual meeting to tell you about some of the work we are doing at the Canadian Labour Congress and what it means to be part of our broader coalition. Je suis très heureux de pouvoir participer à votre assemblée.
I am very happy to be part of your annual meeting to tell you about some of the work we are doing at the Canadian Labour Congress and what it means to be part of our broader coalition, or we could even say our broader family.
I want to acknowledge that we're meeting today on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabeg people. Across the labour movement, unions face many common challenges. I have to tell you that a leading challenge for most unions today is how to engage our members, especially when public opinion isn't always on our side. It's one of those inconvenient truths with which union leaders like you and I struggle every day, that the public, including many of our members, don't know about the good things we've accomplished for working people. And, you know, don't get too concerned. I'm not only going to talk about the past here. I'm going to speak French.
And I'm not talking about the past only, I just said it in English. I know that most people are very surprised to hear that it's my union, the Union for Postal Workers, and not the federal government, who is a progressist, that made it so that we had maternity leave for all workers in Canada. We had a strike for this, to get this. Our leaders were put into jail. The public has supported us, and then the government reacted, and since then, he is doing as if he had the initiative. People don't realize the efforts that have been made to get the parental benefits and familial benefits that we get now. Going to English.
Non, c'est parce que je veux donner le temps si les gens mettent leurs oreilles là. Quoique tout le monde semble être bilingue.
I just want to give you time to put your headsets on. That's why I'm telling you that I'm switching to French or English. I am from Ottawa, and not everybody is a bilingual person in Ottawa.
Likewise, many people, union members included, just aren't aware of the work Canada's unions are doing today to build a better future. Like trying to win a national comprehensive ban on asbestos, like helping to welcome Syrian refugees into our communities, or helping migrant workers stand up for their rights to fair treatment and dignity. Like the work so many unions did to raise the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women, sisters, and to urge the federal government to finally launch a national inquiry into the tragedy. C'est pour sensibiliser les gens à
to make people aware to those of this work that our Congress and our affiliate launched the campaign Fairness Works. This campaign is based on the consultation of our affiliated unions and on research to know what is the best means to bring members of unions and people who don't like really unions to help them support us. And it is based on the values of the Canadian population and unions share, and our research like justice, equity, and respect. Our campaign, Fairness Works, is based on the fact that workers know that solidarity, what it is, that's what solidarity is, and that a union makes us strong. It's based on the fact that people like you and me do what they do, not for their own in their own interest, but for everybody's good, for you and us. It is really at the heart of the work done by unions.
Workplaces and in our communities, so does almost everyone else. Having a union in a workplace is one of the ways people can come together to make things better. And that's what Fairness Works seeks to do, to show people this work and how unions contribute to the better future we all want. This is the kind of work that's possible when unions work together through organizations like the Canadian Labour Congress, through provincial and territorial federations of labour, and through local labour councils. Previous phases of Fairness Works involved television advertising campaigns. I'm sure some of you will remember seeing the ads. As an aside, the first television ad ran for just 8 weeks back in 2013. But it resulted in significant growth in public awareness and support for the work that unions do. I just want to do a quick survey before I continue here. So that was the first ad we did. The last ad we did was around Canada pensions, and it was about a brother who received a watch at his last day. So how many of us saw that advertising on TV? Okay, thank you. The current phase of Fairness Works is a very creative online campaign. If you have not already, please take a look at fairnessworks.ca and êtrejuste.ca. Permettez-moi de parler un peu du...
Let me now talk to you about the CLC. Well, the Canadian Congress, Labour Congress, has 54 unions, 12 provincial and territorial unions, and 100 councils in districts. Together, we represent 3.3 million members of unions, so that's 70% of the labour force in Canada and 30% of the active population in Canada. This is about one worker out of 3, which gives us a strength and a diversity that no other organization can hope to reach. The meeting of workers in all regions, of all economic sectors, of all the horizons, is such that we have credibility and influence when we talk to governments and to the media. This enables us to intervene with authority in front of the courts, and maybe you know, the Supreme Court of Canada just made a decision on a cause that came from BC, and what is being said is that teachers in BC negotiated in their agreement improvements to the education services that they were giving to the youth, and one of them, these improvements, was to maximize within the collective agreement the number of children per classroom, and that part was rejected by the employer unilaterally, and the decision said that he couldn't do it, so they will have to put it back into the agreement. And this gives us the social and political capacity to have a change.
We coordinate affiliated unions and their members for change. That's been true since the CLC was founded 60 years ago. The Canada Pension Plan was one of the first big national issues the CLC worked on back when it was formed in the 1960s. So was public health care. But let me give you a more recent example of how we mobilized unions to make difference. When the Harper government introduced their anti-union bills, C-377 and 525, many people thought there was nothing unions could do under a majority government to stop it. They were wrong. We followed the bill all the way through the House and into the Senate, testifying before committees, producing research and expert validators, and setting up meetings between union members, their MPs, and senators. At the end of the day, our coordinated efforts significantly delayed C-377. Because of that delay, the bill was passed but never took effect. Of course, today there is a different government in place, a government that won an election campaigning on many of the same issues advocated by the labour movement. And we're mobilizing to keep that government on track. This past spring, we brought more than 250 activists, including a few representing CAPE, to participate in our lobby day on Parliament Hill. And I could tell you, to add to that, we're doing it again in February. Pay equity is going to be one of the issues we're taking to the MPs. We met with politicians of all parties to talk about our priority issues. The big focus for the CLC in recent years has been expanding the Canada Pension Plan. 11 million Canadians have no pension at work, and private savings have been declining for years. So expanding our public pensions is key to making sure everyone can retire with security and dignity. I'm so proud to say that after 10 years of hard work, we finally won this campaign. Notre victoire comprend 3 parties. Premièrement,
our victory is in 3 parts. So first of all, the government has agreed to increase universally the CPP, and this increase is pretty significant. The agreement will increase benefits by 1/3. Secondly, we've convinced the government to immediately increase the guaranteed income supplement by 10% for seniors living alone. This will help at least a million low-income seniors, mainly women, by giving them more than $1,000 more a year. The third part of our victory is that the new government has brought the age of eligibility to old age security down from 67 to 65. This puts an extra $30,000 into the pockets of Canadians when they reach retirement age. It's an incredible victory which improves retirement security for all Canadians. It's a victory for young workers and the next generation as well.
Today's seniors who shouldn't have to struggle to make ends meet after a lifetime of work. But winning an expanded CPC also represents something else, something deeper. It marks change in direction for our country and the promise of a better future. For decades, the working class has been getting clobbered. Wealth has been trickling up, and austerity has been trickling down. The ways that people come together to help each other, unions, co-ops, government, civil society, the ways in which working people improve their lives and build a better future for their children and their grandchildren, all of them under constant attack. Our victory on public pensions is about changing all of that. And again, a little survey before I go on to the C27. How many have heard of the introduction of the C27 on targeted pension plans in the House of Commons? A lot less hands here. So the government has introduced a Harper bill back in the House of Commons. Morneau did just a week ago or so. This bill will encourage, push federal sector employers to negotiate and convince employees to move from a defined benefit plan to a targeted plan which shifts the risk onto employees. So what we've done so far is Hassan, our brother Hassan Youssef, our president, has written a letter to Morneau. We had a conference call this afternoon I participated on. The pressure's going to come on, and of course the retirees, Kirk, the Canadian Council of Union Retirees of Canada, will be leading that charge, because not only can these changes impact young workers or future retirees, they can actually roll it back to people that have already retired. It's about shattering the political consensus that austerity is here to stay. It shows that there is an alternative to austerity. It shows that we can expand social programs and tackle the disgusting levels of inequality that exist. It shows that we can build an economy that works for everyone, not just the top 1%. But expanding the CPP wasn't the only issue we took to Parliament Hill that day. We also brought our campaign for a comprehensive national ban on asbestos. This was also our theme for the April 28th Day of Mourning this year. I'm happy to tell you that we're making progress on this one too. The federal government has told us they agree with banning asbestos, but we're waiting to see their plan. They have already taken steps in the right direction. Public Works and Government Services Canada has already banned asbestos from new infrastructure projects. Also, an online inventory of federal government buildings contaminated with asbestos was released just last month, but we still need to see a national plan, and we're not going to stop until we see one. Asbestos is the #1 cause for work-related death in Canada. More than 2,000 Canadians die every year from diseases caused by asbestos like mesothelioma, lung cancer, and that rate is increasing because imports of items containing asbestos are increasing, despite the fact that all the mines have been closed. With your help to raise awareness and pressure the government on social media, the hashtag is ban asbestos. This is something we can achieve for the benefit of all Canadians. And again, you know, just recently we had our National Health and Safety and Environment Committee meeting on the 9th and 10th last week. And we had a brother come in from the Allied workers, Allied painters workers. And what he does is he trains workers, mainly in Ontario, that remove dangerous things in buildings. And he was telling us that 90% of what they work on now is removing asbestos. Le troisième enjeu prioritaire que nous avons abordé sur la colline parlementaire.
The third priority issue that we dealt with on Parliament Hill that day was the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was negotiated in secret by the Conservative government. The chapter on public services would maintain the current level of privatization in Canada. This would stop governments from bringing services back into the public sector. and the partnership makes it more difficult for governments to create new public services such as a national childcare program or a drug plan or an public automobile insurance plan in provinces where there isn't currently one. Why? Because governments would be in danger of being sued by a secret trade court and having to pay millions of dollars in damages to private investors. We've done research on this partnership and we've found solid arguments against the ratification of this trade agreement.
Brings me to one of the other things that the Canadian Labour Congress is able to provide to affiliated unions: an expanded capacity for social and economic research. Our economists and research are nationally recognized for their expertise. They appear as television commentators and provide articles for blogs and media outlets. They produce in-depth analysis on a range of issues, and that helps affiliates inform and mobilize members, as well as helping them bargain more strategically. There's also a lot happening outside our head office in Ottawa. Our regional staff in particular works with local labour councils and federations of labour to organize community events such as town hall meetings and rallies to inform the public about our issues and promote positive social change. We partner with the United Way. I'm the officer responsible for that file, to support their programs to alleviate child and seniors' poverty, support refugee resettlement, and tackle bullying. We also work through our labour councils to support progressive candidates for local government and to ensure workers' interests are a priority for municipal councils. Labour education is another service that we are able to deliver to affiliated unions and their membership. Our education programs feature state-of-the-art courses in workplace, health and safety, fighting racism and discrimination, media and public relations, economics, campaign management, human rights and global solidarity, as well as workplace representation and union steward training, that last one is available online. Our biggest schools are our Pacific Region Winter School in Harrison, BC, and our summer school in Port Elgin, Ontario, but that's really the tip of the iceberg. We also work with affiliated unions and federations of labour to help them organize and deliver their own schools and learning programs. And we organize conferences like the two that were held in Ottawa just a few weeks ago, our first ever Young Workers Summit. 400 brothers and sisters under the age of 30 participated in that. We were hoping to get 200. And our second National Human Rights Conference called Rise Up. We have over 800 activists that came to Ottawa for that, to listen to activists from around the world, including Danny Glover. I was trying to remember his name. La solidarité entre
Solidarity between unions, labour federations and labour councils, part of the CLC, allows us to bring together union activists from all regions, from all sectors of the economy and from many walks of life as well. It's impressive to see this at work. Activists leave these conferences with knowledge and skills which allow them to better advocate for unions and their members. And it's not just on human rights that we're doing this. We're doing this in the area of pensions as well, in health and also in security, the environment. We're also doing it on political action. Every 3 years during our national AGM, the members of the union and activists take part in democratic rallies, which are some of the largest in the world, to really focus our work and our programs. At the last convention, there were more than 5,000 delegates in Montreal, and that was in 2014.
To speak today, conferences like yours are vital to our movement, and I wish you a productive and successful annual meeting. C'est en travaillant ensemble dans la solidarité.
It's by working together in solidarity that unions can help workers to come together to bring about the necessary change to improve their future.
It can be, and that means a better future for all working people, whether they're unionized or not. Thank you. Merci en toute solidarité. Je sais pas s'il y a...
Solidarity. I don't know if we have time for questions, but I'd be glad to answer any you might have.